There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, you gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Am I live yet? I can't tell. This is really rather difficult. The video streaming seems to be a bit of a bind. That's not me. That's the Portugueeza on the screen there. Just let me adjust a few things here. Take him off the screen. He'll be with us at around 9:30 this morning. Oh, that's better. I lost video. I lost my intro there at the end, and I wasn't sure if I was live or not, or being obscured by the Portugueeza or not. And who doesn't like to be obscured by the Portugueeza first thing in the morning? Munson here anyway, with the Good Morning Portugal show live stream and podcast. How are you this morning? The three wise men have been chatting, I think, about diet and lifestyle. Oh, and I see Jacob Pedersen is here. Hello, Jacob. I think we've met before, have we not? But I haven't seen you for a while. You are responding to the theme of the show today. A good sense of kissing etiquette is knowing when to give and kiss on the cheek and when to give a cheeky kiss. You've nailed it there, Jacob. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Probably the least said about the Dalai Lama today for International Kissing Day. I'm sure his PR team are not entirely happy that it's International Kissing Day today. The three wise men have been chatting, as I said, lifestyle, health, well-being, that sort of thing. That'll be Coach Turner, T-Duck, and did James join them, or was Deagle chatting with them? Oh, yeah, James was there. It's the four wise men, isn't it? We always have to go a stage further with things, or to have a laterally thought addition, evolution to the accepted narratives and wisdoms, don't we, here on the Good Morning Portugal show? This morning being no exception with the I think the Council of Elders, that is the four wise men. Coach Turner, no disrespect meant, gents, but you're having a very erudite conversation this morning that only men of a certain age would have, I think, to be fair. Coach Turner, T-Duck, James and Deagle. Lovely picture from Deagle as well this morning for International Kissing Day. Let me just take off your comment for a moment. We will come back to that. Coach Turner, let me just... what's Coach Turner in Portuguese? Would we be calling you treinador, Turner, in the athletic sense, or would that be making you some sort of consultant, the trainer? I wonder. And we still haven't got anywhere with this Portuguese wordle, have we, or wordiply? Is there a Portuguese word game we can play together in the mornings? Have we still got people? Have we set a few hairs coursing with that? Are people researching that, or did you just think it was a terrible idea? I wonder. Where was I going? Oh, yeah, International Kissing Day. Thank you. Deagle, look at this. A gumper kissing his bride. When was that, Deagle, did you say? Let me just find your message to me this morning, which came through on 913-590-303. Here's a gumper kissing his bride in 1993. What a again. Video looks frozen. I love it. I love it when you guys carry on without me. It's fantastic. I know that's a really long exposure of the wonderful picture that you sent me there, Deagle. I had to reset my computer. It's not, you can see it's not a fast computer when it comes to streaming graphics, but it's pretty fast restarting. You know, sometimes Windows PCs take about half an hour to start up and you go make a cup of tea. Not this one. So we're back in business here, I think. Has Carl completely disappeared? Am I muted? Tumbleweed. Well, everyone's paying attention, that's for sure, this morning. Thank you, everyone, for keeping things going. And it's great, isn't it? Because you can just chat to yourselves on your various platforms. I was watching Mrs. M yesterday, and what I realized was if you come in from different platforms, so that people on Facebook, I'm not sure that there is anyone on Facebook. Oh, you're all on YouTube, aren't you? I could see that from your comments. Yeah, but I was watching Mrs. M doing her new show yesterday. And I was on Facebook and YouTube at different times during her show. And of course, those two communities can't see each other. We, the presenters here, so like, for example, Kokikoyo is in sharing an emoji with us, or nothing at all, maybe a polar bear in the Arctic there that we just can't quite see. But Cookie will be over there on Facebook. Everyone else, I think, at the moment is on YouTube. And so, but you can't see each other. So that's quite a nice little bit of texture, isn't it, for the show that you can't necessarily see everybody's comments in real time. I have to share them with you and be your mediator. Anyway, that was a little bit of an interesting hiccup. I'm not sure if I should share anything else, but you know I will, just to push the system that little bit further this morning. I've got a lovely, whilst I gather myself this morning after that little, well, I'm not too stressed about that, actually, strangely enough. I just finished my tea, restarted the computer, and away we went. I have a lovely video to share with you. Several, I suspect, here this morning. Although I wonder if my downloads this morning disappeared as well. I've got a video from Dougie. Thank you for your comment, Cookie Koyo. I don't think your just you on FB. I don't think your emojis work when you send them through. Can you see that? Because that's what's got to me from your missive on Facebook over there. We've got to come back and say a few hellos this morning. Lovely crowd in this morning. Thank you very much for being here. Trying to load up some wonderful video that I've put to one side for you. One of which is just the that was the 3rd of April. What? Oh, I see. I'm in the wrong place. Oh dear. Storytellers. That's definitely one that I wanted to show you this morning. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you some 5-star luxury. This is new in my town. A day of really nice discoveries yesterday. I'm falling more and more in love and expanding my sense of being Biberian by frequenting Mercadona more and more. We were there yesterday. We had a picnic inside Mercadona. I'll tell you about that later on. Another beautiful plot twist of being here in Portugal. I love São Martinho de Porto. I love being here and living here. And a new hotel has opened up, which I want to share with you now. It may well be, interestingly as well, the backdrop for Anna's Portuguese immersion experience. We were hanging out with the founder, the creator of this experience in São Martinho de Porto. And this could be one of the backdrops for, if you come and stay for the 3 days, 1st of May, 2nd of May, 3rd of May, this could be the backdrop in which you have your Portuguese immersion experience. Anna's working on the fine detail of that. But could you see yourself in this hotel and in this experience? Check it out. Oh my goodness, nice, huh? You enjoy that? I did. It's streamed mostly well for me here, and I could feel my heart opening and embracing that experience. Can you see yourself drinking a cocktail in the Gatsby bar there, and then retiring to your rooms? The James Joyce, the Agatha Christie, the Fitzgerald rooms, 11 suites, all named after storytellers, writers. Yes, agree with you, Diego. That hotel is stunning. Oh, I thought this was a YouTube advert. No, it's the new 5-star in my town, San Martino de Porto, and could be beginning of May for the 3-day immersion. Darn, won't be in Portugal then, maybe another time. Well, yes, Matty, absolutely right there. Oh, and I've got pictures of Matty. Thank you for those. Going back to his blood donation subject that he raised a few days ago, we've got pictures of Matty delivering. But yeah, that's the storytellers. Oh, let me give you the website for that as well. Yeah, it's absolutely stunning, a beautiful place. And Storytellers Hotel, that's where I was searching for it before. Oh, yeah, that's the problem though, isn't it? When you search for hotels, you get you just get all the other the other places that you don't, the places trying to sell you hotels, booking.com and Trivago and all that sort of stuff. I've sent the, I know I can go to my WhatsApp and find it in there, where I've been sending it to people, say, look at this new hotel in my town. Isn't it nice? So let me just find that for you. Yeah, that could well be the backdrop for the immersion experience that Matthew's talking about there. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of May with Anna, who joined us on Monday, of course. She lives in the Bay here and wants to teach you Portuguese in a way that demystifies. She's not saying it's not a difficult language. She's saying there are easier and harder ways to learn the language, and she's got her eye on a few of the easier ways that build confidence very quickly. There you go. Here's the link to the hotel if you want to come and join us for that experience. I'll be popping in from time to time, and it will culminate with the meetup on Wednesday. So 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of May, the Portuguese language and culture immersion here in San Martino de Porto at that incredible hotel. I mean, come at any time of the year and experience that hotel with a wonderful view of the bay there. Deagle's also asking, is that the hotel with the water slide? I don't think it has a water slide. It has a pool. I think it's got a small pool. And I really don't know how they squeeze it all in on that site. It's a corner site on the, where would it be? The north end of the bay. And it's amazing. It's stood empty since I've been here and known San Martino de Porto for the last 5 years. And then suddenly the refurb took place. And the chap who owns and runs the place, Marco, who also has a hotel in Sintra and is a film producer, TV. He's a director, producer. He's an incredible creative guy who's done all sorts of campaigns over the years for leading Portuguese brands. He's come into San Martino de Porto and done a wonderful job, as you saw there, in renovating the hotel. And now it's available for this beautiful sort of romantic storyteller vibe there. Wonderful. So maybe see you for the immersion experience. And Anna, I think we'll be welcoming people into that hotel as part of that event and experience. Or another time of the year. It'd be lovely to hang out with you. Anyone is welcome to say, Carl, we'll be in the Gatsby bar this afternoon. Would you care to join us? Yes, I'll be there. I'll have what I don't know what I'm not a big cocktail drinker, a bit predictable with the mojito, but I mean, what's the ideal cocktail do you think to have in the Gatsby bar there, as you saw it, as you look out over the water on the tranquil bay of San Martino de Porto? It's not the hotel with the water slide. I'm sandwiched between two delightful experiences. The one with the water slides at the top of my street, and it's still not open. And we're springtime in Portugal in the holiday season of 2023. It's still not open, showing no signs of being open. That's Colina de Sol, the Sun Hill campsite, legendary in these parts. It's been undergoing a major refurb. I thought it would open last year. It didn't. I'm not even sure if it's going to open this year. So there you go, Storytellers Hotel, Colina de Sol at the other end of town, which should open soon. Cabins and a different view of the sea, actually, over at Gralia there. Let's go back to the beginning of the show this morning. Technical hitch notwithstanding, a lovely moment in the bay there with you. I think things have settled down a little bit now. Maybe that was all we needed, a purge on the graphics. It seems to be holding up for the time being anyway. Bom dia, Gampas. Quinta. After a couple of days of storms, we have a quiet, sunny day ahead. Isn't that nice? There's the kind of quiet before the storm, and there's that lovely post-storm feeling which you may be experiencing and enjoying this morning. Out for a walk and a coffee this morning, then training and coaching this afternoon. Have a great day all. Thank you. And your God Squad tip of the day. That will be the latest healthy eating advice suggests consuming 30 different plant-based foods, not at each sitting, but each week. That sounds a lot, but when you consider that you can include spices, nuts, and seeds, less so. Try mixing it up, says the coach. What you eat more, try mixing up what you eat more. Add different herbs if you can, and you'll be improving your gut biome. Who doesn't like to improve their gut biome first thing in the morning? Coach Turner does. Unfortunately, I don't think Vino Tinto counts. I found a lovely Setúbal red at Mercadona. Yeah, Mercadona. Went there. I am definitely Iberian. Felt a little bit guilty about enjoying Mercadona. But with our new Iberian status, embracing the relationship between Portugal and Spain and the proximity, eating lovely charcutaria from Mercadona and the other wonderful things that they do from their hot counter, and their incredible salads, burgers, bifanas. It's really quite amazing, Mercadona. The more I find out about it, the more I like it. And they've got a little seating area so you can eat some of your gubbins. It was rainy yesterday, so we weren't going to go and find a nice picnic spot. Well, there would be a nice picnic spot, but there wouldn't be nice weather. So we thought, okay, we'll have a coffee in their sit-down area and ate some of the things that it doesn't sound at all romantic, does it? Going from 5-star hotel to sitting up the back of the Mercadona and eating the stuff you've just bought. But it was strangely fantastic. Good, decent coffee out of a machine, albeit out of a machine. A good cup of coffee and eat. We had a Mercadona picnic. Does anyone else do that? I wonder. And wonderful. Bagged a lovely bottle of Setúbal red, I think, for about €3. Really nice drop with the Iberian ham and a bit of that red wine and a few of the other things. Some beautiful seaweed biscuits, seaweed crisps that we bought as well. It was a real grazing day after the trip to Mercadona. Recommend it. What do you use or think when it comes to probiotics? Asked T-Duck. I take acidophilus every day. He drops some acidophilus every morning by the sound of it. I also take B12. Since I'm mostly vegan. And Bon dia Alegria Gumpers as well there, well before 8 o'clock this morning. Let's move on. That's your dietary thoughts of the day, acidophilus, when it comes to probiotics and B12. Deep thought then, Aldous Huxley. I don't suppose Aldous Huxley thought much about gut biomes or acidophilus. Friendly bacteria weren't a thing there back in his day, were they? To travel, that advertising exec who came up with friendly bacteria, genius stroke, right? To travel is to discover that everyone is wrong about other countries. What a great thought. Yes, very good, deep and brilliant thought of the day there. To travel is to discover that everyone is wrong about other countries. So true. Huxley spent the latter part of his life in Los Angeles from 1937 until his death. By the end of his life, he was widely acknowledged as one of the foremost intellectuals of his time. Quem sabia, who knew? Portuguese factoids every day from T-Duck. Today's traditional architecture in Portugal. Oh, liking this. Portuguese architecture then, distinctive and includes the manuelene, a composite Portuguese style of architectural ornamentation of the first decades of the 16th century, the manueline. Or manueline, I'm not sure. Have I got, what should I say there, you architecture buffs? I'm going to go with manueline. No, I'm not. I'm going to go with manueline. Is followed by, anyone do okay on Wordle as well? I've just been sent that by my daughter. Manueline is followed by pombaline. Oh yeah, Marcos de Pombal, I guess. Style of the 18th century, a 20th century interpretation of traditional architecture. Soft Portuguese style then appears in most major cities, especially in Lisbon. Modern Portugal has given the world renowned architects like Eduardo Souto de Moura. We talked about Alvaro Cisa Vieira, didn't we, when we had Daniel on the show? And both of them were Pritzker Prize winners, which is presumably an architect. It's like the Nobel of the architecture world, as well as Gonçalo Byrne. Is he an Irish-Portuguese hybrid of a man? I wonder. Thanks for the dad jokes. Forgot them yesterday. Can you believe that? Hanging out with Dougie, having a few giggles with Doug, including the fabulous shot of him in Spain, and then forgot the blooming dad jokes yesterday. So double dad jokes. We'll go back to those this morning, and we'll have 6 of the best from T-Duck. Thank you for those, T-Duck. What else has come through on the pictures? Yeah, this is what I was struggling with this morning. There's Tony Bryant. He'll be with us, the Portugueese, at around 9:30. Bombs Dias, this is what he says on social media. I've been looking for some financial advice, and local pals said I should speak to an avocado. I've been speaking to it for 2 hours now, and I'm still none the wiser. I think whilst we're in that sort of territory, that wasn't very loud, was it? Let's go to the visual dad joke of the day as well, then, from James. Thank you. Or have I? No, I'm going to have to come back to that. Oh, no, I've got it. Got it here. You're all right. You're all right. This vehicle is reversing. And here's the image now from, come on, what's going on here this morning? I don't know. It's taking its time to load up anyway. Oh, in the meantime, I've got a, this is a bacalhau. Brab, our mate in Sheffield in the UK, created this bacalhau con natas with added touches from his mate Rafe. Salt cod from Lisbon then. So he went, I thought he was going to be using saltfish, the best saltfish he could find in Sheffield, which might be from a West Indian shop, of course. But salt cod from Lisbon then. Somebody must have imported that. Can you imagine that in your luggage? Double cream with that, garlic, onions, and fried potatoes. Added mozzarella for that chewy, crispy crust. Oh, Italian influence then on the bacalhau con natas then. In Yorkshire. Isn't it amazing how food travels around the world? So he's got the chewy, crispy crust thanks to the mozzarella, bechamel sauce, and added, what's that? An error occurred. Your image does not want to load, James, this morning. Oh my goodness, what's going on here? I'm going to try one more time and see if we can bring that up for you. Yeah, so he's got a crispy, chewy top, and he said this is a serious piece of food. It was a food sleeping tablet. We were talking about napping after food yesterday, weren't we? And how useful napping is for athletes. So you're in good company here, Brab. A sleeping tablet of a dish. So have a pillow and couch nearby after eating it. And I said, do you want to come on a show? He said, I'm too tired. I was going to record something with him about it, but he was too cream crackered after eating that. And that does look nice, doesn't it? In a nice cast iron pan there, presumably roasted in that skillet looking thing, skeletal device dish there. Some nice cookware. He is a chef, of course, Brab. So he's got some nice cookware there. And a bacalhau con natas. Do send in your pictures of your creations, your culinary creations, please. And yes, here we go. This is a bit different. It's not the usual kind of Star Trek vibe that we're used to, is it? This is. I was thinking, who is that fella? Superman, isn't it? It's Christopher Reeves in his version of Superman, early ones, when he was still hung up by cables in the studio that you could sometimes see in the movies, but it didn't stop our enjoyment. It was cutting edge at the time. My Visa card was declined at the sweater store. What did they do? They asked for my cardigan. Oh, ouch! James, I think the cornier, cheesier and more contrived they are, the more he likes them. Cheers, James, for that. Who says, Bom dia, Gumpers, Feliz Quinta todos, como va as coisas? Maybe waiting for the International Kissing Day etiquette in Portugal to arrive, and that will be soon with Cátia Lima, of course, the Beyond Lisbon blogger. Always great fun hanging out with her, and the Portuguese will be joining us as well. Slightly uneasy atmosphere when he's around, but good fun as well with the Portuguese Tony Bryant. Anagram of his name, Rant by Tony. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers from a blue sky Belfast. Rain stopped overnight. 1.25 inches fell in 30 hours. Wow. 6 degrees and fresh, but next week it's going to climb to 14 and 15, between 14 and 15. Daily t-shirt, shorts, sandals, weather. Good stuff. And coming back at, I'll raise your acidophilus and B12? Thunderducker, I take 12,000 vitamin D units daily. Is that right? It's because I worked 38 years night shifts. Of course. And you've got to compensate from that. From the age of 16, my goodness. I also wear sunblock daily, even in Belfast. My skin more fragile as I sleep over half the month during the daytime. I see. Sleeping during the daytime, night indoors artificial lighting. Yeah, of course. So you've got to manage your vitamin D there. Very good. God spares me October 2024 and I'll retire at 55 with 30 years nights NHS pension. Good for you, Deagle. Thoroughly deserved. That's roughly 40 years days as nights paid, if you see what I mean there. Deagle, this is the third of his messages. That you have to break him up. I also learned that when I was messaging Mrs. M on our show yesterday. You've only got 200 characters, haven't you, per message? A person who works full-time nights is more likely to die 9 years earlier than a day worker. Yikes. So you've slept a lot of days in that career. So I'm getting out and going to start to enjoy myself. Well, thoroughly deserved. That's amazing. I'll soon be getting free vitamin D in Portugal. And of course, yeah, you top yourself up on a regular basis, don't you, Deagle, coming to Portugal to top up your vitamin D. Thank you for this, Jacob. It's good to see you. A good sense of kissing etiquette is, I'm going to star that and share that with Cátia to see what she thinks of that. A good sense of kissing etiquette is knowing when to give and kiss on the cheek and when to give a cheeky kiss. Yeah, rascal, Jacob. International Kissing Day, 13th of April. There's a peck on the cheek, a beijinho na bocheca, or the loving kiss, a beijo amoroso. Both need a hug. Abraço to well, that's what Deagle thinks. Both should be accompanied by a hug. Cátia is getting ready. I think she's struggling with her technology as well this morning. It wasn't just me. Bom dia, alegria a todos. Pombal Saleira. Happy quinta-feira. Now, these pictures of you giving blood while we're waiting for Cátia to arrive this morning. No stress. No worry, Cátia. Take your time. You'll be fine. And if anything like me, take a deep breath as well as you wrestle with the tech. Here's Matty then in Pombal, I suspect, and giving blood here with his Curaçao t-shirt on. That was going to be one of the places he may have retired to, and that you could clearly see him that he's in a Bombeiros forecourt there. Hopefully not in the way of the vehicles should they need to go out on a shout. A laptop set up there. The operatives are, I guess, doing their paperwork on the computer. And is it like other forms of Portuguese paperwork where it goes into the computer, it's then transcribed from the computer and put into another computer? I think that happens here, sometimes. And there he is with the line going into his arm. Sorry if you're squeamish. And a jauntily placed bottle there, Matty. Difficult for the continuity lady between pictures with that. Cátia is with us, and I think okay with the tech now. And just say a few more hellos before Cátia joins us to talk to us on this International Kissing Day and the right etiquette when planting one on the cheeks of your Portuguese friends. Good morning, everyone, from Andy. Yeah, and then we went into the bit of the show where we lost sound. Has Carl completely disappeared? We just left Mr. and Mrs. McKillen on the screen, didn't we? For ages, it seemed. Well, I hope you enjoyed that moment. There was some serious kissing going on. Crickets, tumbleweed ensued after that. Oh dear, oh dear. Bon dia. However, then we got things recovered as Victoria wished us an hola bon dia and telling us it's a cool and sunny day in Portimao. Certainly at the moment, that can change, of course, here in Portugal. And bon dia from Antonio F. Good morning to you, Antonio. Lord Gilchrist, all rise. Lord Gilchrist is here as well. By Randy is in. Thank you. Got video from you as well, by Randy. Hola bon dia from an ever-changing and beautiful Bairrada. Yeah, I'm sure spring is exciting and interesting there in the Bairrada. Darren is in as well. It wasn't a YouTube advert. It was the 5-star, the new 5-star. With multiple bars, yes, always a good choice. We're looking for friends, not in this bar. Let's check the other one. Oh, and the other one, and then the other one. A video of Coimbra as well, side streets and station. Thank you, Darren, for that. And the communication platform, you'll notice I'm a little bit slow to respond sometimes because I'm not on there as much as I am on the others. But thank you so much, Darren, for that. Greetings from Alvor, from Paul. Tried to book the hotel. No response on the internet. So you're quick. Are you coming on the immersion experience or just visiting the hotel? I can put you directly in touch with the owner. Not a problem there. And looks fantastic. Cocktail suggestions. I'm going to wait for Cátia before I go through these. We were asking which might be the best cocktail to try in the Gatsby bar there in San Martino. Got suggestions. Milan is in as well. Good morning to you, Milan. And Bob, yogurt kefir. That's not a cocktail, is it? Not as far as I'm aware. It might be in some Californian bars, of course, the ones that don't have any alcohol in them. Yeah, why no warning for that joke? It was a real barrel scraper, wasn't it, James, honestly? And Pete is here as well this morning. Good morning, Pete. And good morning, everyone from Mrs. M, who's also here. Kissing to be clever. That's was that Culture Club? Who's actually, if you like Culture Club and you remember the album of theirs, which I don't remember the name of, but I remember the album. There's a track on there called Changing Every Day. There's a beautiful reworking of it by what she called Nee Maxine, for you Culture Club fans. So from kissing to be clever to getting the right kissing etiquette here in Portugal on International Kissing Day, Cátia Lima, everybody. Hello. Good morning to you. Yes, beijinhos to you.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. How are you? Good away?
I'm okay, thanks. Had some Wi-Fi problems, but
You did,
everything's
didn't
okay now.
you? I
Yeah.
noticed you struggling behind the scenes, and you got a little bit of a
Yes.
buzz on your microphone as well. It maybe is your jack fully inserted, so to speak? You've got a little bit of
The
an
microphone
earth
is here.
buzz. Yeah, the microphone's good. Is it plugged in all the way? Because I've got a little bit of static on there, I think.
I think so.
Oh, there's something going on with that. I think so. Well, everybody will let us know. Congratulations on International Kissing Day, everybody. Who here has already planted a kiss on someone's cheek this morning? Cátia is here to tell us all about it. Great idea, Cátia. You are telling us, and you've written a blog as well about this.
Yes. It's not published yet, but as soon as we finish the show, I will hit that publish button. So there's no need to take notes. Sorry?
We've got the scoop here. Thank you so much. Fantastic. And then you very kindly, thoughtfully will publish the blog, and I'll make sure that everyone gets that. Loud and clear in Belfast, that's good. And I do not hear a buzz. It must just be the voices in my head. Thanks for letting me.
We've all been there.
That's so very understanding and compassionate of you. Thank you very much. Before we get into the kissing thing, you probably didn't see it. We've got a new 5-star hotel. It's got a beautiful bar that looks out over the bay, a cocktail bar called Gatsby's. And I was asking people what sort of cocktail would be the right one to have here in San Martino de Porto. Caipirinha, I'm loving since I came to Portugal. Yes, that would be a nice little change from the mojito, wouldn't it? And an extra dry martini. That sounds good, Lord Gilchrist. I would have thought something a little bit more British. Well, can you get more British than an extra dry martini? Possibly not. That's very James Bond, isn't it? A yogurt kefir. I think that's referring to our health talk earlier on, rather than a cocktail suggestion. We always... Oh, that's something different. But we always eat and drink great coffee in Mercadona before doing the main shop. No defrosting of the goods. Very good tip. Plus, better to shop on a full stomach. You're very welcome, everybody. Amazing hacks and tips here. You are. It's true. Very true. So, Cátia, how have you been since we last saw you last time?
I've been okay, thanks. Busy as usual. I've been okay. Yeah. All
right. And can you help us with something? Because you talked to us about amazing Portuguese women. And at this same hotel, the 5-star in the Storytellers here in San Martino de Porto, one of the suites, they're all named after writers. And the Portuguese writer that they feature is Florabella. And I can't remember her second name. Did we talk about her last time?
No, Florabella Espanca. No, but I mentioned her I had a blog post about World Poetry Day. And I highlighted a few Portuguese poets, and she was one of them. There's actually one song which is based on one of her poems, the most famous poem. And that's like a staple in Portuguese music from the 20th century.
I understand, yeah, because her poetry and prose are so moving, aren't they, that they lend themselves. She is what the Jane Austen of the Alentejo, I suppose, isn't she? And that sort of heaving, sighing country life sort of vibe going on?
No, not really. She was a very melancholy person, probably dealt with depression from today's point of view, I mean.
Oh, okay.
And that really is noticeable. Sorry, I'm really having some issues. I can't even open my... I'm trying to get the link to that. I can't even open my blog, my God.
Is it on your... So if I find it, I can find it on the...
Yeah, it should be the last blog post.
I've also cleaned my computer recently, so all the links that I'm used to just typing in a couple of letters are no longer there. So it's going to take me a little bit longer than you. Florabella Espanca, is that her name? Espanca.
Florabella Espanca, yeah. I'm going to write it down here.
Okay, an interesting name, and that is one of the suites at the Storytellers. Okay, thank you for that. So everybody can look her up. So yeah, a melancholic lady whose work, I guess that would help the crossover from the literature into the music, and is it's got a fado feel to the music?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, as you might expect there. So I'm going to pop that.
Not this one, but there are several. Yeah.
Oh, we've got
But
delays.
on the blog post, there are others that have to do with that connection between poetry and fado, the straight connection. Don't tell me you cannot connect as well. Oh my God.
Well, we are up against it here this morning, but we will carry on. There you go, Florabella. What a lovely name, beautiful flower, Spanka. Worth looking up, I think, an inspirational character from Portuguese literature. Superb, excellent stuff. Okay, so onward then to the International Kissing Day. What a great idea to pick up on that, because occasionally people are confused as to what to do when it comes to confronting. Oh, that's not the right word, is it? Meeting a Portuguese person and how to go about it. So over to you, one cheek or two.
Confronting. Well, essentially, it all boils down to familiarity and closeness. So it can depend. And also, and I'm going to talk about this, you can also have kissing on the cheek between two men. But I'm going to talk about all of this.
Great.
I just want to make a little disclaimer. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, definitely. We can hear you, and I won't interrupt. I'm not going to interrupt.
I just like to make a little disclaimer. Yes.
Over to you.
Yes, I think that we have a bit of a relay here problem.
We do.
Yeah. I was going to say these are just general rules, of course. So you may know someone like a neighbor or a Portuguese friend who does things in a slightly different way. So of course these are just general rules. So I think the first thing that we should, maybe a little bit of vocabulary vocab first to start with. So the Portuguese word for kiss is beijo. I'm just going to write it down here.
Oh, thanks.
Beijo. And then you have beijinho, which means little kiss. And is usually the word we use within this type of context, with the social kissing. We say beijinho, dá-me beijinho, posso dar beijinho. So that's the word. You also have the word beijoca, which means more or less the same thing, but it's slightly less used. What else? Oh, and beijo na bochecha. That's also an important one. Beijo na bochecha, meaning kiss on the cheek. So bochecha means cheek. Okay. So I would also like to note that I've noticed, I don't know if anyone else has noticed that as well, but I've noticed that with all the COVID-related, behaviors, some people have kissing on the cheek with a hug, or with just saying hi. I don't know if those people will get back to kissing on the cheek at some point, or if they just give up on it. But it is interesting that I've noticed a bit of a difference and some increase in hugging.
Okay, I'm very purposefully not talking across you because I think of our time delay. Okay. So sorry if that's a bit unnerving, Cátia. It's not like me at all to not interrupt.
No, I know. So I'm kind of not sure if everything's going okay.
We can definitely hear you. You're good. Okay, you're good to go.
Can I carry on?
You can carry on.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So basically, when do you do it? When do you give a beijinho? Okay, first of all, when you're meeting friends,
Oh, that's unfortunate, isn't it? That's a proper cliffhanger as well. When do you do it? When do you kiss? And then she disappears. No, Cátia, you can't do this. Oh gosh. So like me, she might have to do a restart this morning. We can't even connect computers, let alone give each other a kiss on the cheek here this morning. What are you saying, everybody? You sound great, Cátia. Yeah, thank you for that encouragement, Mrs. M. But not now, she doesn't, because she's completely disappeared from our screen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a little vid. We're catching up. We've got a Benidorm video, or Bebby Dorm, or Bevy Dorm, as well as it was called yesterday. We've got that to play later. We also have a bit of catching up to do from, I believe, Easter Sunday. It might have been Good Friday, but certainly from VRSA, something I overlooked. But this is very special and poignant, so I'll play this, and hopefully we'll be back with Cátia after this. Wonderful. Thank you very much there from, I think I'll take them off the screen for a moment while I sort out their tech difficulties there. Thank you very much, Anna Olsen, for your beautiful Easter song there from Villarreal Santa Antonio. We also have Bairandi, who, what did you say here, Andy? I think you were having a little walk, were you not, in the beautiful Bairrada, as you rightly referred to it, walking home, you say, from the market through the Bairradian countryside this afternoon, not this grandma. Here we go.
Bon dia. Well, boa tarde for us, but bon dia to you. In the glorious Bairrada countryside. Just been to the market. Got ourselves some veg plugs to replace the ones we'd already grown and eaten. Had ourselves a very nice peri-peri chicken dinner whilst we were there in one of the tented restaurants they've got there. Obviously accompanied by a nice bottle of Vino Verde and a cafe con cheirinho afterwards. And now we're heading on home. Lovely jubbly. Ciao bellas.
Well, not on his bike for a change there, walking back through the forest, getting a bit of shopping and having a nice lunch in Portugal. Doesn't it look lush there? Fantastic. We really enjoyed living up the road from Andy. And strangely enough, never met him in person. I've only met him here in San Martino de Porto since. Thank you very much for that, Andy. Brilliant. You trudging through the undergrowth with a full backpack. Right, let's try Cátia again, just as he's taking a big sip of gin and tonic this morning. How are you? How are you this morning? We've already done that a bit, haven't we? How are you now is what I meant to say. Oh, she can't hear me. Oh, how unfortunate is that? Okay. I don't know if she can see me either, because I'm waving to her and speaking to her, and it's not looking like anything's happening at the other end there. Hello, Cátia Lima.
I can hear you, but I can't see you. Now I see you. Oh my God. Finally.
Hey, there we go. So why don't we sit? Should we sit really still, or
don't blink?
Well, that was a nice bit of Portuguese vocabulary there. Or maybe a ipa with this situation here. Don't blink. Let's keep nice and still, and let's carry on with your guidance on kissing. That was actually what goes on for Andy in the situation, in the public kissing situation here in Portugal. He too loses signal, I think, in a social situation. Brilliant. And nice walk in the woods as long as you don't meet a wild boar. Yes, who smells your shopping there, by Randy. So, Cátia, I'm assuming things are okay again now. Over to you. and an assumption that made an ass of you and me right there. She just, hello. I wondered, could it be the long delay? Hello, hello, hello. No, I think what I'll do, just to spare her any blushes, if she starts punching the screen and swearing, I'll take her off the screen for a moment. I think she's restarting again there. So what I'll do is then just check on your comments that are coming in, and we might even have a look at the Portugal news in just a moment while we're waiting for Cátia to rejoin. And only 10 minutes away is the Portuguese with a greeting from you as well this morning, Tony. Good morning, Cátia and Carl. He'll be joining us soon. Oh, I think we might have. Did you hear that little blip? That means that somebody's coming in. There you go, Cátia. Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Let's try it. Let's try it.
Let's try it again.
Let's try it again.
Okay, so where was I?
I think you would. It's like, okay, when and where to kiss, and then you disappeared.
When? Okay. When and where to kiss. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez. So, when meeting friends and family members. And then with the family members, it's interesting to note that this is a context where you can see men kissing other men. Like, for example, father and son, uncle or close uncle and a close nephew, grandson and grandfather, also godson and godfather.
Yeah.
So, like I said in the beginning, it has to do with this closeness and familiarity. Because if you're talking about an uncle that you don't really see often, you're not expecting the nephew, whether they're a child or not, to go and kiss the uncle on the cheek. So it has to do with this closeness and familiarity. And this applies to all levels of this, all social contexts for this social kissing.
Okay, so very important.
This concerning that aspect of, do men kiss men, regardless of any other contexts. In general terms, within family context, yes, you can see like sons kissing their fathers on the cheeks, even if they're grown up. Like you know, when you have a son who's visiting his parents, it's perfectly normal for the son to kiss his father on the cheek.
Okay.
And this applies to grandsons and grandfathers as well.
Okay.
Sorry, I had my. I'm actually afraid to open my the other tab.
I understand.
I had another tab with my aide-mémoire, but now I'm afraid to open it because it might mess up something. What else? You also kiss another person on the cheek when you're being introduced to someone.
Yes, which feels very familiar. That's what throws people, I think, is a Portuguese person might lean towards you, and you've never met them before. So this is I think where we can feel a little bit awkward, and then how do I respond to that? Which I guess is the next bit.
Yes. But when you're being introduced to someone, that depends also a bit on the context. Is it a professional context, for example? If it is, you're not really expected to kiss the other person on the cheek. You just give them a handshake, unless it's a very informal kind of environment. Or you're being introduced to new colleagues at work, for example. But again, only in very informal and really laid back environments. Otherwise, you just say hi, or you give them a handshake. Also depends a bit on hierarchy. If you don't want to kiss the other person, and this can happen regardless of the context, it's like this. I mean, obviously, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. You should not be forced to do it, of course. What you can do is just say no. If you want to be Yeah, it's simple. Yeah, it works.
Okay.
If you want to go into a bit more of detail, you can just say, where I come from, we don't do this, so I'm not comfortable with it. If you could just give a handshake, that would be great for me, or just a little hug. Also, we Portuguese sometimes we're also in situations where there's someone we don't really want to kiss on the cheek for several reasons, and I would say
Such
the
as?
tried and true. Sorry.
What reasons might they be for the Portuguese?
um if for example, if you're talking about women versus men, if you suspect the other person is a bit of a creep, or someone that gives off,
It
the vibes
happens.
are off, like we say today
Yes,
these
yes,
days,
yeah, yeah,
the vibes are off,
yes.
something like that, and you don't really want to kiss that person on the cheek,
Okay.
you can just go for the tried and true Portuguese methods of saying, sorry, I have a cold, I don't really want to pass on any germs, so
Yes, and the serious creep says, "I don't mind. I need to build up my immunity."
no, really, 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 I
Or
insist.
or they're a smoker. Darren says, "Reason one, they're a smoker." Oh my goodness! Right. Well, can I just rewind a bit there, because this is fascinating, because you said it's fine to say no, and I really can see that. I think a few years ago I'd have felt really awkward about that, but that is another part of Portuguese culture we can speak about here, isn't it? Is Portuguese people, I think, are quite direct. So if you say no, it's likely that that person might be a bit disappointed, but they're not going to
Yes.
take it badly, are they? As a British person, for
No,
example.
it's like this. It's like this. It depends on who you're talking to.
Yes.
Because if it's like, for example, if it's me, if I'm meeting someone from Northern Europe, Central Europe, the US, I will by default assume that person does not want a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
So I won't even mention it. I'm just going for a handshake or just say hi. If but it's interesting that I understand if people don't like it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I understand that people don't like it or don't feel comfortable with it. But personally, it makes me a bit sad because I like it. But I understand the other sides, the other person's side. Um, but what I mean is, I'm okay with it because I'm more familiar with it. I'm used to it. But
Yeah.
it's interesting that I've mentioned this and I've seen this happen with older people. I'm talking about like my parents or my grandparents' generation, and quite often, it makes them feel kind of rejected.
Yeah.
They feel like, what to us this is normal. Why don't you want to give me a kiss on the cheek? Am I not good enough? Well, what's wrong with me?
Yes.
Because they're not used to it, to dealing with other cultures. For younger generations, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I totally get that. And if I may bring in another anecdote about the Portuguese directness. So there you have it again. You can say no, I don't want to, and that should be okay. Because I think Portuguese people are more direct than, let's say, the British, for example.
Yes. Just to understand the other person may be sad about it.
Yeah,
But
and then
yes.
they might be direct back, mightn't they, and say, "What's the matter with me?" And then you have a kind of upfront and open conversation, don't you? Rather than lots of awkwardness and passive
Yes.
aggression
Yes.
later
Yes.
on in the day or decades later. And I was talking to somebody yesterday at the meetup, and they've got a difficult situation with a construction installation, and they got quite cross about it. And he said, "I took it to American level communication in these situations," and he started raising his voice. And whilst he's quite a sort of transcendent, self-aware guy, so he was aware that he was raising his voice. He wasn't lost in the red mist. He just got really frustrated about this situation and started raising his voice. And what he said he was aware of, Katia, was that no one cared. Because what he would have been used to in America is like taking it to that level would have had everybody's attention in the room, and everyone would have gone, "Oh, what's wrong? Something's kicking off." And that's pretty much how it is in the UK as well. But he noticed that the guys carried on working, and the guy he was talking to didn't bat an eyelid. And he was thinking, what do I do? What do I do now?
Yes, basically, I think that without having been there, to see that, I think there was a bit of a power play there at work. They were basically ignoring him and telling him, yeah, whatever, we don't care. Scream as much as you want. Well. I don't care.
Okay. So
without having been there to witness it, from what you're telling me, I'm betting this is what happened. They were just ignoring him.
What another brilliant nuance you're bringing to us. Okay, yeah, because I think the cue in the UK, US is like, okay, come on then, bring it on. Let's all start shouting. But to respond like that is like, okay, we're just going to carry on. We're going to ignore your shouting. That's brilliant.
It doesn't mean that in another context. Yeah, it doesn't mean that in another context with another person that would not have happened. It can escalate like that with people screaming back and forth. Yeah. But in this particular case, from what you're telling me, it sounds like he was just ignoring him. It was a way of saying, I don't care what you say. Scream as much as you want.
I've got to ring him after the show and tell him that might have been what happened there. Because we thought,
talk to the hands,
we just thought it was, animated, and sometimes my neighbours, I'm thinking I should call the police with one set of my Portuguese neighbours, because they're really shouting and screaming at each other, and they are just that's just what they do sometimes. And me and Mrs. M have tried it as well. It's quite nice. So it's a nice. It's a nice change from our normal British ways. Get it out into the open. All right, sorry, Cátia, for that aside there, but I thought that was quite useful. So, okay, we're a little bit delayed. Tony, we'll bring you on in just a moment. The Portuguese who is limbering up in his home studio there. He's reset his router, possibly. But we're finding out about kissing and the right thing to do. I don't think in all the technical difficulties we've had, I can't remember if you mentioned like the 1, 2, or the 1, 2, 3, or the 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the right number of kisses? Oh dear.
Sorry, I just lost you there for a second.
Yeah. Okay. You're back. Oh, that's good. Okay, let's go because we've got you again. So did you hear the question? It's like the one on the one side. Do we start on the left? Do we start on the right? And then how many? Do we keep going?
Yes. Okay. So usually, I think we tend to go. First of all, I would like to say that for those who haven't noticed yet, in like 90% of the cases, we don't actually touch the other person's cheek with the lips. It's more of a cheek-to-cheek sort of thing.
Oh, yes.
In most cases.
Yes.
Yes. But then there's a very particular aspect to it. You need to make the kissing sound. You need to make mwah, mwah.
Yes, okay.
You hear me?
Tony's
okay.
doing,
Tony's
I
remember being a kid and after a family. Sorry?
Tony's doing this. He's in the studio. Let's bring him onto the screen because I think he should join this conversation. He's good. He's Portuguese are good. Here he is. What, Tony?
Wow, I like it when that happens. Hello, Cátia. Hello, Carl.
Good morning to you.
Hey, this is a really interesting conversation. Oh,
she's gone.
Oh.
You didn't even get a chance to give her a kiss. Was this something you said?
Maybe this is the live streaming equivalent of no.
She could have just said, though, couldn't she?
But what I really wanted to ask Cátia was, I wondered, we arrived here sort of in the middle of COVID, and of course at that time no one was kissing, and I'm interested to ask Cátia how that affected people here, because I suppose it's the equivalent of not being able to shake hands. Hi, Cátia, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was just saying to Carl, we arrived in Portugal sort of in the middle of COVID, and of course at that time nobody was greeting each other. I mean, handshakes were. Do you remember we had to do this elbow thing?
Yeah.
I mean, how did that affect people not being able to greet in the traditional way?
I think I mentioned that in the beginning of the show. I think some people actually got used to it, but in the beginning it was very complicated for us, not being able to kiss the other person on the cheek. And not just that, because all of that happened along with especially the first lockdown, which was something that was very sudden. So
yeah.
A lot of us usually, we regularly meet other parts of our family. So having that abrupt cut in our routines involving that specific parts of our culture, that was very difficult. Yes.
Yeah.
Eventually, I suppose some people got used to the idea and they're like, yeah, it's okay. I don't really like kissing people that much on the cheek. But for some of us,
well,
are
I
more
know
touchy-feely, that's a bit complicated. Yeah.
Even in England, where I guess people aren't as physical, well, they're not nearly as physical as they are in, say, Portugal and even Spain. But a lot of people complained about not being able to hug their relatives, didn't they?
Yeah.
That was a really big
Yes.
part of it. But one thing I really love in Portugal is the hearty handshake. You know, I like it even when I go to the local tool shop. It's not just a handshake; it's almost a cuddle with your hands. You know, when you see people that you know.
Oh,
I really like it. Yeah, it's a great thing.
And you've bought more tools recently, I noticed, than ever.
Yeah, I love to buy. Well, my wife is the green. Is it the green finger or green thumb? I always get those confused. Maybe she's got green hands, but she gets the plants out of the ground, and I buy the tools and sit and drink coffee and watch her. But yeah, something like that.
Very good. Very good. I think we were just as each important question comes up, the technology breaks down and doesn't support us, Cátia. But it was this like that. Shouldn't have said anything, did I, Tony?
I saw someone in the chat say something about maybe there's been outages everywhere, and we've noticed normally we have quite consistent internet, but this last month we've been noticing a few dropouts, and I use Zoom all the time. And what I've found is rebooting, you know, I don't want to mansplain or do a tech tip or something, but I found switch the router off for a few seconds, switch it back on. That sometimes puts it back up to speed. So
yes, yeah,
you know.
No, it wasn't at all mansplaining. I need some help from you to make my graphics card run a bit better, I think. So I'll maybe talk to you later. I'd be happy for some techie mansplaining on that front. While we're waiting for Cátia to come back, how have you been? How are you?
Yeah, I've been very well, thank you. We know summer is well and truly here because our bees are back. And I don't know if I ever told you the story about the bees, but we bought our house. We live in central Portugal, for anyone who doesn't know.
Is this a story about the birds and the bees you're going to tell me now? That is
there's no birds. There's no birds, unfortunately. What was that? There was a famous advert once about that, no birds. But anyway, there's no birds. There's only bees. And we bought our house about 2 years ago in central Portugal. And at the time we lived in Nazaré, about a 2-hour drive. And as you can imagine, after purchasing the house, it was quite a long period of time until we were able to actually move in. So every now and again, we do the 2-hour drive up and do things like let someone in to put the internet on, let someone in to put the electrics on, and so on. And we had this like a beehive in the porch, and we didn't notice it till it started to get sunny. For some reason, they become more active when it's summer, and we looked for the hive and we couldn't see it, and we realized they were going into little holes in the wood. I don't know if anyone's seen this, and you'll never guess what they're called. They're called carpenter bees.
Yes.
Yeah. And I thought, well, I must, if drilling a dodgy hole in some wood is what makes you a carpenter, I must be a carpenter as well. But anyway, we know how hard it is to get a carpenter in Portugal, and I had thousands of them. They weren't doing a very good job, unless potentially making my roof fall down counts. But anyway, they had to go, and I was told that the junta would help with that. If you've got a bee problem, the junta will help free of charge.
Yeah.
So I went to the junta. I mean, that's another thing, Carl, junta. I was expected to be faced with 10, 14-year-olds holding AK-47s or something. You know what I mean?
It does sound a bit imposing, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's not that kind of junta. Not that kind of junta. But yeah, they said, we have some bee men who can come and help you out, but they're very busy, as you can imagine. So to leave my email and wait for them to tell me when they could come. So about 2 weeks later, I get an email to say, the bee men are ready to come around to my house Tuesday afternoon or whatever it was. So we packed up the car, drove the 2 hours up here, and we're waiting for them to come. As you can imagine, these bee guys, they're going to come in white suits with the smoke machine and everything like that. And what actually happened...
Like a Daft Punk gig.
Exactly, and I'm not joking, Carl. What happened was we were sat here waiting, and we were thinking when they come, we're going to have to let them in. Then we're going to have to go to the cafe and wait a few hours or whatever. And I kid you not, 2 men turned up with this. I'm not even joking. Just jeans, shirt, you know what I mean?
I do.
Just 2 normal guys with a can of fly spray rocked up. Yeah.
What's it called? Black magic.
It's called it's called block magic.
Block magic. Okay.
Block
All right.
magic. Block
I
magic.
see.
Yeah.
Okay. They work their magic then.
They did work their magic. We also ended up putting little bits of wood in the hole to stop the bees being able to get back into their home. But every year there's a good dozen or so that obviously didn't get the memo and they turn up. But that's how we know it's the start of summer.
And you know how to deal with them as well now. You've got your own tin of.
Well, I could be a bee man now. I could be a bee man.
Yes, yeah. You look suitably dressed as well. Yeah, absolutely right.
That's it. That's all it takes. Professional.
All right, well, thank you for that. Thank you for your bee anecdote. Did he say the bee men were busy? Yes, busy bees, of course. Right.
The bee men are always busy.
We have Cátia back, as Deagle has pointed out, and we should crack on with the kissing. I'm
on the phone now. I'm trying this on the phone to see if it works better. I don't know.
Funnily enough, he's talking about bees, and I'm getting a bit of a buzz. Please don't. Please, we need them. Please have them professionally relocated. All right, it's a bee.
I tried.
We did try. Okay, they're still coming back. Clearly, Cátia, left or right? How many?
Okay, so
we can do this.
So left or right? Usually, I think did you still hear the bit about not actually kissing the other person's cheek, but more like kissing touching cheek to cheek, right?
Yeah,
right, okay.
but that caused another problem. He's like, what? You don't actually kiss? Here it is, kissy sound, vocalized moi.
Yeah,
no contact. Any questions?
I remember I was going to say that. I remember when I was a kid and I was we're going away from a family meeting, and I have a big family, and I don't know how old I was, probably like 8 or 9, something like that. And at some point, I just got tired of doing the mwah, and I would just touch the cheek. And then at some point, my mom scolded me and said, at least make the sound, because it looks like you're not putting any effort in it. So at least you need to make the mwah sound.
This is needed.
Yeah,
we do need Portuguese kissing coaches, don't we? Who can maybe accompany you on the first few visits to people's houses.
Yes. I was actually doing a kind of a package deal, like something like how to Portuguese, which would include the cheek kissing.
Yes, definitely. Sign us up. We'll have some of that, won't we?
Years ago, I worked for the EBU, the European Broadcasting Union. And
No.
we'd be at, you don't know who they are?
No. Go on. Quick pen portrait.
European Broadcasting Union. Well, okay, for example, you know who Eurovision are? The Eurovision podcast. This is hosted by the European Broadcasting Union.
Oh, okay,
it's basically a group of the biggest European broadcasters. So when we have sporting events like, for example, the Olympic Games, Winter Olympics, international, football, you have a host broadcaster.
Yeah.
And the host broadcaster sells their feed to all the European broadcasters. So the European Broadcasting Union gets a good price by bringing all that together. That's basically what they do. They're kind of a middleman.
Gotcha.
And well, if they're hearing me, they won't like the way I said that. But anyway, but what it was is you can imagine when we came together for a big sporting event, there would be people from all over Europe. And us British guys, we would often talk about this because, for example, the front desk of the EBU is run by the Spanish. And so we would go in and for us, it's almost like an attack, people we haven't seen for maybe 2 years. And they run at us and we wouldn't know. And we tried to watch and there didn't seem to be any rule about left or right or numbers. Some people would go in the right, some would go in the left. So we thought maybe they were taking the piss out of us a bit because maybe they know that we're, we don't know what to do.
Yes.
So yeah, so it was quite funny, and I watched for a while, and I didn't see any pattern. But that could be the Spanish as well. Maybe the Spanish don't.
Yes, because
Yeah.
it's different. It's a bit different from country to country and from culture to culture.
Yeah.
I think the French, for example, give 3 kisses on the cheek, I think.
Yeah.
Here usually it's 2, and I think most people will start with the right cheek, so right cheek, left cheek. But in any case, if sometimes you have one of those situations where you're like, if that happens, yeah. If that happens, just say, desculpe, and just laugh it off. No one really
Or just meet
cares too
halfway
much
on the
about it.
lips. Just meet
No.
halfway. No.
I wouldn't advise that. What else I was going to say about this? Is it okay if I go on now?
Of course, yeah. We need to know.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to wrap this up because of all the interruptions. Again, like I said, usually it's 2 kisses, but sometimes if it's someone you're very, very familiar with and someone you see very often, you can just give them 1 kiss on the cheek. And in that case, quite often it will be like a real kiss, not just a mwah sound. And that's it, basically. It depends. Also, all of this depends a bit on each person. And in case of families, for example, it will depend a bit on family habits, I would say.
Yes.
For example, if we're talking about friends, if it's a friend you haven't seen in a long while, and if it's a close friend, it's perfectly okay to give them 2 real kisses on the cheek and a big hug. So,
So you can improvise and emphasize.
Yeah.
I love it. Teenagers in this country are fantastic because when they greet each other, they shake hands and kiss each other on the cheek. Now, when I was growing up in UK, it was like the whole thing about kissing a girl was just got more and more difficult and anxious. It is so good, isn't it, that the teenagers kiss and hug each other and shake hands as a way of being, like socially intimate. So there isn't this great big, all or nothing situation. I think it's really
like this. Yeah. There's still some anxiety in it.
Of course.
I guarantee you. But it's not like there's this big divide, like you never kiss the other person on the cheek. No, it's perfectly normal.
Yeah.
I would just like to add. Yeah. Go on.
No, I see that's exactly what I see, and it just looks like the kids, the teenagers are comfortable in their bodies and comfortable touching each other, appropriately socially, and I think that's really helpful in your growth as a human being.
I'll tell you the other extreme. I lived in Hong Kong for a decade, and the kids there, if they have to hold hands for some kind of activity, they'll actually hold a pen.
No,
I'm not joking. They'll actually hold a pen so that they don't have to hold hands
or touch. What is it? Germs? What's the idea?
I think it's a combination of anxiety and culture, yeah. But especially boys and girls, they won't hold hands.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Which makes hold a pen between them.
Yeah, and then you get this divide, don't you? The anxiety grows in that space. It's really well, each to their own. Of course, I'm not criticizing it. I can know what happens from my point of view with all of that. Cátia, I think you had a concluding.
Yeah, just a quick note. If you're living in Portugal, sooner or later you'll probably come across the word chicoração. You may have heard it. Chicoração. Okay, no. So chicoração. I wanted to write it down. I can't. Sorry. Can I write it? No, I'm not sure I can write it.
Is it anyway. Is this what Matty's got on his T-shirt here? He's got curaçao, but not chicoração.
No, chicoração. That's technically it's a hug. A really tight hug, and it's a term that we usually use with children.
Okay.
Like, for example, whether it's a child in a... Yes, thank you, Antonio, thank you. Also spelled with C-H-I. Okay. If you're talking to, like, for example, a kid in your family or close, like a neighbor's child, for example, someone that may not be within your family group, but close enough. You can say to them, "Dás-me chicoração? Can you give me a tight little hug?" It's something that we usually use with kids, although it's not uncommon to use this expression between two women if they're very close with, whether it's friendship or family ties, if they're very close to, each other. It's a very affectionate term.
Okay.
And in this case, the chicuração will usually also include a kiss on the cheek, at least one. And you'll hear people say, dá chicuração, dá cá chicuração, something like that.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you for that. So that's like, come on, bring it in. Give me a nice little hug. Yeah. I get that. All right. Like grandma and grandchild, perhaps there.
Yes.
Look at this comment. Isn't Portuguese culture lovely? Yes, it is. And the strategy that James uses that seems to work best for him in nearly every new situation here in Portugal, I think this could go horribly wrong, but generally speaking, it's probably 90% okay, is let them lead, then copy. That's quite good advice.
Yes.
Okay, excellent stuff. Well, thank you, Cátia. It hasn't been easy this morning.
No.
Got there. We
managed.
We managed, and we're better off for it. So thank you so much. And of course, if people go to your Beyond Lisbon.wordpress.com blog, they will be able to see the newly published guide to kissing. So I will put that into the chat. Let's catch up with Tony then. And if you could stick around, Cátia, that'd be great. Because sometimes Tony gets himself into all manner of pickles, and your Portuguese input, a Portuguese pickle from time to time, your input might be helpful. Here he is talking to an avocado. Not that kind of avocado, Tony. How's that going?
Well, as I say, I didn't get much information at all from, and here he is, look, in live. I brought him with me, yeah. This is my avocado. Yeah.
Yes, which of course really means lawyer, doesn't it, Cátia? Here in solicitor, lawyer, and avocado.
Advogado, it's different. Abacate, advogado.
There you go. There you go. Next problem we can sort out for Tony.
So I got that wrong then. This is who I need to speak to.
Yeah.
So, but I did actually have to speak to one a couple of weeks ago. Listen to this, right? This is a true story.
Yeah.
Just before Christmas, my son, he's doing French at high school, and he's come home with a bit of paper, and they're going on a class trip, and I've got to sign and pay for it. Now I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, a class trip usually was to some stuffy museum or something like that.
Yeah.
Where's he going? Paris. They're off to Paris.
Paris at the moment?
Yeah, well, yeah. I told him not to wear yellow. Don't pack anything yellow, that's for sure. But 500 euro. 500 euro in December. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anyone else? Any of your viewers had this experience of being, the school wanted this much money? Anyway, of course we've paid it, and it turns out that he's the only one going from his school.
That's odd.
I'm not making this up. I'm not making this sort of stuff. Can only happen to me, I'm sure. Anyway,
that's why we love having you here. These Tony, it's like we have Tony time with the man in the Mino. This is a different kind of Tony time here. We love hearing about your experiences.
He's not the only one going. The school as a group there's 3 or 4 schools in the group, so there's some people going from the other school. But it was only because I asked him a few weeks ago. They said to me, "Oh, you have to go see an avocado to get them to sign that you give permission for him to go out of the country."
Yeah.
And so I asked him. I said, "Oh, can you ask any of your classmates what avocado they went to see?" And he said, "Oh, I'm the only one going." I'm like, "What do you mean you're the only one going? If I know you're the only one going, that 500 euro could have been spent on tools for the farm."
Turkey.
We went and saw the avocado. Yeah.
And what do you have to have do you have to have a notarized signature so that it wasn't your kid?
Yeah, it's a racket, isn't it? I mean, the school. I said to him, "What? So I've got to go pay someone who doesn't know me to agree that I'm me." So that you know that I've given you permission to take my son out of the country. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's how it would be done in your country." I'm like, "No, actually, I'm a teacher in my country. I'd be able to sign that myself." But, yeah, I think 20 €27 or €28 they charged me for that. Yeah.
Well,
Look at
that's
my
It's probably a recognized signature, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
a it's a recognized.
Because your son is underage, so you need.
Yeah.
You can see the ink. You can see the ink coming out of the pen as you were writing it. So, Randy says our kids' Portuguese school trips are very reasonable. We have heard of others charging crazy prices. Well, you know, there are two things going against that trip from my point of view, and I suspect other people here as well. Paris will be the first one. It's like seeing some of the pictures of Paris at the moment. You think, do I want my kid going over there? And €500, yes, that's quite steep, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you find out he's the only one going from you, because those two factors may have put the other parents off, Tony, of course. But I think he's going to have a great time, isn't he? He's going to have a great time.
We went to a meeting. There was a meeting at the sort of the biggest school of the group, sort of to brief parents about exactly what would happen on the trip. And some parents, I mean, I can't speak Portuguese very well, but I know anger when I hear it. And there was some parents were really shouting, you know. And from what my son said, it was a mix of not just the cost, but the short notice, you know, because it's I think they're going in 2 weeks, and we got the letter in December. And I'm sure it's the same for Portuguese people. You don't need any more expenses in December. Am I right?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I mean?
I think that's a general thing.
Especially when you've got kids, right?
Yes.
So there wasn't a big take up. There wasn't a big take up, apart from Tony. But I'm sure he will have a life-changing, life-informing.
Oh, sure. I mean, that's why we that's why we paid for it, you know. Yeah.
Okay. Anything Tony needs to be aware of? There is a long-standing relationship, of course, between Portugal and France. He can brief the boy on the kissing side of it, going into France. Maybe one extra one for France. Anything else needs to be done with the Portuguese French relationship there, Cátia?
No, not the French in particular, but the Parisians. They have a reputation for not liking tourists, for not liking anyone who is not Parisian, and especially not the French. So I don't know.
So in the one of the leading tourism capitals of the European continent, the Parisians are not too keen on tourists.
That's something else the British and the Portuguese have in common, right there. Is that experience? That experience.
Okay. All right. Well, in these last few moments, then we have been looking at whether we are Iberian or not. We've been talking a lot more about the Iberian Peninsula. I have come out of the closet quite a lot, I've got to say. I like going to Mercadona now. I'm not embarrassed to say I think I will be exploring Spain at some point. What's put me off up until now is this whole received difficulty, awkwardness with the Portuguese-Spanish relationship. How is that for you, Cátia, as a Portuguese born and bred? How do you see that relationship?
I tend to see Spain not so much as a whole, but I tend to see the regions. Okay. And that has a lot to do with the fact that especially in the 90s up until the early 2000s, I got to travel around quite a lot in Spain, especially the north. Mm-hmm. I like Galicia very much. You'll notice if you go there to Galicia, if you go to Galicia, you know, they also tend to like the Portuguese very much.
Yeah.
Quite a few people in Galicia would not mind at all being a part of Portugal. That's a thing that has been going on for some centuries. That's a long story. If you go, if you go to the Basque Country, for example, it's more or less the same thing. Although that has to do with the fact that I think it was in the 90s as well, maybe 80s too. There were actually a few members of ETA that were hiding in Portugal.
Wow.
But anyway, they also tend to like the Portuguese very much. And one of the things, I actually have a friend who is from the Basque Country. We were co-workers many years ago. And the way she spoke about the Spanish language and Spain in general, it was very much a thing of, us versus them. To her, she said, I speak Spanish because I learned it at school. It's not my first language. It's something I learned, like here you learn English, French, whatever. It was something that, at home, in her village, everyone spoke Basque, not Spanish. And she says that when she went to attend university, there was quite some bullying going on because she was from a village in the Basque Country. So everyone was constantly teasing her, like with anything, for example, that had to do with technology. They would always make jokes implying that she wasn't familiar with that, or she didn't know about a corrector pen, for example.
Wow.
This sort of thing going on, yeah. And then
Yeah.
the south to me was a bit different. Felt more like Spain, especially Madrid, Seville. The north, not so much. And then all that area there with the Asturias, for example, it's all very beautiful area as well. All the north, I like all the north very much. All along the northern coast. And to me, yeah. And then going, we got to drive around quite a lot, and it was funny for me being a Portuguese. We do have Mirandese as the second recognized official language, but anywhere you go, you'll see people speaking Portuguese, right? All the Portuguese speak Portuguese. There will be different accents. There will be some bits of different vocab going on, different from one region to another, etc. But it's all the same language. And in Spain, one of the things I remember was driving around and leaving one area, one region. I think they called it province. I'm not sure. And then entering another, and then seeing like road signs in two different languages. So you'd have, for example, Galician and Castilian. Technically, it's Spanish, but technically it's Castilian. And then you'll move on to another region, and you see the Castilian - Spanish and the local language. And this to me felt so divisive. It felt a bit awkward. And then, of course, going to places and you're trying to speak Spanish, and people just, as soon as you say buenas, they'll say no comprendo. But
really?
What do you mean no comprendo? I just said buenas,
Incredible. Thank you for that, Cátia. That's really interesting. And it's us expats, foreigners, immigrants who are Iberian or not. Clearly, you're Portuguese, and you've got a fondness for Spain as well. Really lovely to hear about that. Tony, have you got a 10 o'clock you've got to rush off to? Sorry, mate, if we're holding.
I haven't today, but I just wanted to add something quickly to if I have time.
Of course you can. I'm in no hurry. I was aware that you might be having to go.
I'm forward an hour on everything now because of Hong Kong time, but that's another story. But we before we came to Portugal, we lived in Torrevieja. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, but it's in the province of Valencia. And our kids were going to go to school there, and at the time there was a big sort of row because the local government was reintroducing I think it's Valenciano is the language, Valenciano. So that was my first. Obviously, I'd heard of Catalan as a language, but I didn't realize that each region has its own language, and they're actually quite distinct from each other. They're not like a I'm going blank now. What do we call it when it's not a language? It's a dialect. They're not dialects. They're actually distinct languages. Yeah. So there was a big row, of course, in Valencia because Valenciano is now the official language of schools in the province of Valencia, which apparently includes Ibiza as well. So I obviously in Ibiza I was out of my mind most of the time, so I hadn't noticed people weren't speaking Spanish. But yeah, so it's really interesting, Cátia, because I that was my first experience of that, and then now to hear you really explain it, that each province still has that. So
and as an Englishman in Portugal, Iberian or not, or do you lean more towards the Portugal?
Me?
Yeah.
Portugal is not Spain.
No,
they might share a peninsula, but no. I mean, I know we're on the Iberian Peninsula, but Portugal. I mean, when we left Spain, and we did. Don't get me wrong, we had some nice experiences in Spain and everything, but coming to Portugal was like I can't explain how much nicer Portugal is.
All right.
Can I just add a little bit to that?
It's so different. Yeah.
Can I just add something to that? You're reminding me of a teacher I had. She was German. And one time she was telling us she had been to Germany visiting some family, and she did all the way from Lisbon, Sintra, she lived in Sintra, to Dresden, driving all the way back and forth. And she was telling us that, she crossed Spain, and if you're driving across Spain, there are some bits that are, it seems like it never ends. I remember doing that in the 90s. It was like road and nothing on the side. It was like almost like one big desert. But it was very interesting to hear this from someone from a different culture. And she said, the second I crossed the border and entered Portugal, I felt a sigh of relief. And then she entered through Vilar Formoso, and she said she had her 2 sons with her. We went to a restaurant, we asked for a big feijoada, and they brought pencils, coloring pencils for the kids. And it felt so different from her own experience in Spain. I'm not saying you don't have good experiences in Spain. I'm not saying that, or you don't have bad experiences in Portugal as well. But it was very interesting to me to see this from a different viewpoint. In this case, a German. This to me, this was very interesting, and it reminded me it reminded me of her now with what you're saying.
When we decided to leave Spain, when we decided to leave Spain, what I said, because we had like a family meeting about it, so I'm kind of going all serious now, but we had to make this decision very quickly because Brexit was approaching, and and I sat down with my family. I remember saying to them, they don't want us to live here. They want us to come. You know what? They want us to come and spend money on holiday, and then they want us to get out. Everything pointed to that. It's unless you want to live in one of the expat communities, you're not made in any way to feel welcome in this was our experience anyway. And it was just little things like the ongoing scams where you park your car and it gets towed and they want €300 to get it out. But there was like we had all that, this little sticker on a wall at like 1 foot off the ground to say you can't park there. Do you know what I mean? I mean, this stuff, anyone who's been to Spain has had these experiences, So yeah, we weren't made to feel welcome, and then when we came to Portugal, we were made to feel welcome.
Amazing.
And it was like we crossed the border and the sun came out, and I can't explain it. It really was. I mean, we loaded our car and we came here, and it was just everything changed very, very, very quickly.
That's amazing. Well, thank you both of you for being here this morning, and for that insight on this, our continuing Iberian conversation and our love of Portugal and Spain respectively. And thank you both for being so respectful. Thank you, Mrs. M, for a cup of coffee too. Thank you for being so respectful in terms of owning your experience as well. Saying that's my experience, not to say you can't have a good or a bad experience in Spain or Portugal, but thank you for owning it, and the conversation will continue, won't it? And we have input from Bobby. Morning, Bobby. Each area has very proud attachment to their historical roots too in Spain, as well as their dialect, a bit like Sporting and Benfica. Mrs. M is doing a bit of flamenco. She's in the mood in the studio this morning. I don't know where to look, quite frankly. It's all about the energy as well. Interestingly, that's from James. And driving through the flat northern France is just as endless as España. We drove 7 hours and covered about an inch on the road. You don't often get that, do you, in Portugal? Again, another tick in the box of Portugal there. So thank you for that. Wasn't expecting that, and such great personal experience. So thank you, Cátia, for that and your wonderful guide to kissing. We got there in the end, didn't we, on international kissing?
Yes, yeah, eventually. Woohoo!
I'm gonna practice on this avocado.
Oh, very good.
Remember, it's good.
There we go.
Yeah.
Saturated fat kiss there. Do you feel more confident, Tony, in going out into Portuguese culture with the kissing thing there?
No, but I'll try anyway. I think the tip to let them guide you. That's probably the best tip. But I think Cátia, a lot of people will be very happy to have heard your advice. Yeah, it's something I've heard a lot of people talk about. So,
all right. Well, look at this. It's as though we planned this. Do you kiss when saying goodbye? So, would you, Tony? He does. There's one for you. What's the thing for you?
Yes, of course.
Really,
you kiss when you say goodbye. Yeah.
You do. So same again. So that you would repeat what you did on the greeting when you're saying goodbye. Well, on that note, I'm going to give you a massive round of applause. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Iberian Peninsula after you've gone. But thank you so much both for being here.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. All right. Ciao, ciao. Beijinhos, abrazos.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
It grows on me, that music. All right, so a bit of Iberian FM phone in action. If you do want to call in, you're very welcome to do so. 913-590-303. Better connect the phone so that you can actually do that. And while I'm doing that, yes, have you got any anecdotes? Victoria does spot on having the car towed, you say, Victoria, and we've got a sunset to share from you as we go out today. This happened to me in Barcelona. They left a sticker on the ground where my car was, and I had to go searching for it. How annoying. However, Dougie, who was with us yesterday, of course, had parking issues in Lagos earlier this year. It's a tourism thing, that, isn't it? It's only called, what's this? The 5 if you're from SoCal. What's that about there? And kiss that like button. Yes, gently fondle, kiss and caress that like button this morning. Oh, I see. This is, I've done 1 to 5 too many times. It's so boring. Is that kissing or a high five? What's that about? Doug Hughes, the warden, slapped me a ticket whilst I took 2 minutes to get some coins from the coffee shop opposite. They sneered and said I was British and I could afford the fine. Outrageous. The Portuguese waiter was livid. That's not a nice thing to hear, is it? We were feeling quite proud of ourselves in Portugal here for not having the same attitude as perhaps the Spanish might have with the parking thing, but there you go, right there in Portugal, happening too in Lagos, certainly in the Algarve. That's not going to happen here. You can park on a roundabout where I live and everything will be fine up till now anyway. In Nazaré, the parking guys wait up for about 10 minutes before ticketing you, and it's only a couple of euros. Isn't that lovely? Oh, the interstate I-5, that will be Interstate 5. Thank you very much for that. And that goes on forever more, does it? You want to be doing the Big Sur, don't you? The coastal road. I've driven that and absolutely loved it. Okay, let us play you a Benidorm video. Thank you very much to Doug for this. This was his, I think this is the right video. Let me just see if I have loaded up correctly. A bit of Iberian action for you. We are in Portugal, broadcasting Iberian FM, 351, the code on WhatsApp, 913-590-303. And now we're going for a quick trip to Benidorm, courtesy of Doug. cracking, isn't it? This Iberian curious inquiry of ours. Lovely conversation there with Cátia and Tony at the end of the Good Morning Portugal show there. We're into the Iberian FM phone in. And let me just change that in the background there then. And yes, we've got the Beijinhos, a quick guide to social kissing in Portugal. I wonder if there's a Spanish equivalent. Maybe James Blick can talk to us about that when he joins us on May the 5th. James Blick from Spain Revealed will be joining us, and I expect to have Spain Speaks Stu joining us, coming in from Madrid there in Spain from time to time as well on the Iberian FM phone-in. So there you go. That's published now. If you want to catch up with anything that wasn't quite clear, because we did have some technical challenges, didn't we, this morning with Cátia? Her guide is now published. I better put a link to that, hadn't I, in the chat here for you. And we will have a look today at 6 incredible places to visit on the Iberian Peninsula. Now, from a Portuguese point of view, and on record and clearly somebody in the public eye who loves Portugal, I'm a little bit disappointed, or maybe it's a bit predictable what they've chosen. And I'm glad they've chosen 3 of each on the Portuguese and Spanish sides of incredible places to visit. A little bit predictable, but it might not be the case for everybody when it comes to the Portuguese side. So let's take a look at that article now. That's the link to Cátia's article there about a quick guide to social kissing in Portugal. Let's have a look at this 6 incredible places to visit in the Iberian Peninsula. I'm very happy to be interrupted during this on 913-590-303. If you're exploring your Iberian curiousness this morning, or actually any time, as we've been doing over the last couple of weeks. Bringing this onto the screen, 6 incredible places to visit on the Iberian Peninsula, thanks to international living. And let's take a deeper dive into these then. Kicking off for Spain is Granada. Let's get the forward here. For millennia, or the opening paras, the Iberian Peninsula has been a coveted destination, with everything from the Phoenicians. What did they ever do for us? Oh, and the Romans and the Visigoths and the Moors, leaving their mark on this southwestern slice of Europe. So there you go. Early visitors to the Iberian Peninsula. Well, not that early, I guess, but yes, earlier than us. Phoenicians and the Romans, the Visigoths and the Moors left their mark on this southwestern slice of Europe. Today, millions of visitors flock to Spain and Portugal, drawn in by the country's enthralling cities, wonderful food, wine, and diverse landscapes. Actually, we have a picture of Andorra as well. No disrespect, Doug. Perhaps the Andorran Tourist Board might not be entirely delighted with the photograph, but thank you for a photograph at all of Andorra, because this is the first. I'll interrupt my sharing of the 6 incredible places to visit on the Iberian Peninsula with this picture of Andorra. That could be Portugal, Spain, or Andorra, to be fair, couldn't it? And no snow there. It's known for its skiing, isn't it? But that is. Thank you so much, Doug. That is a picture of Andorra, the first on Iberian FM here. Let's get back to this article. From dramatic fortresses and tranquil university towns to cities renowned for their culinary offerings, here are a few of the 6 exactly, of the Spanish and Portuguese highlights of the Iberian Peninsula. So Granada in Spain then, has anyone been? Overlooked by the snow-capped peaks of the majestic Sierra Nevada, Granada is home to a lively student population, eateries dishing out free tapas, and glorious remnants of its Moorish past. Tapas is very Moorish. Granada's most famous attraction is the Alhambra, of course, an awe-inspiring palace and fortress that was constructed by the Moors over the course of a few centuries. Now, that is a building project, isn't it? When something takes centuries to build, we don't think and work like that anymore, do we? The Moors that pity, sorry, didn't mean to make that pun. The Alhambra's Islamic architecture, think horseshoe arches, graceful fountains, and vibrant tiles, decorated in geometric patterns, might make you feel as though you've been whisked off to Morocco. You can easily fill an entire day exploring the Alhambra's magnificent grounds, which also include the Generalife, is that how you pronounce that? The tranquil summer resort of the rulers who constructed the Alhambra. Given the Alhambra's tremendous popularity, it is advisable to secure tickets online far in advance, especially if you are visiting during the peak tourist season. So there you go. Mentioning the Albayazin as well. Albayzin, Granada's hilly neighborhood filled with centuries-old whitewashed buildings. That sounds amazing, doesn't it? And another of Granada's star attractions is the 16th century royal chapel of Granada, the Capilla Real. Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, the so-called Catholic monarchs, who were instrumental in taking Granada from the Moors in 1492, and they are buried in the chapel's crypt there at the Capilla Real. Okay, let's go now to Cordoba in Spain. For centuries, Cordoba was the Moors' capital and one of Europe's most sophisticated cities, boasting esteemed universities, libraries, and public bathhouses. It is said that Cordoba's Muslims, Jews, and Christians lived harmoniously here, creating a dynamic community where knowledge and talents were shared. You see, we can do it. Cordoba's most famous attraction is the magnificent mosque cathedral, the Mezquita, which marries monumental Islamic and Christian architecture. During the late 8th century, the Moors started the construction of the mosque on the site of what was previously a Visigoth arch. Over the course of a few hundred years, they continued to enlarge the mosque, eventually creating a breathtaking building that has nearly 900 columns. Wow. And it isn't like a 900-year-old column first thing in the morning. And that incorporates golden mosaics into some of its most sacred sections. Beautiful. Cordoba there then. Let's go to Toledo in Spain. First three from Spain on the Spanish side of the Iberian Peninsula. Known as the city of three cultures, since it, again, was once home to a thriving Christian, Muslim, and Jewish population, Toledo plays host to a cathedral of epic proportions, a 10th century mosque, and two impressive synagogues. Of the Toledo capital, the Toledo Cathedral, what am I talking about, is often described as one of Spain's finest. Okay, so a competition there for the Gaudi built cathedral in Barcelona. Its architecture is overwhelmingly Gothic, but it also has elements of Renaissance and Mudéjar design. Inside the cathedral, you can find paintings by Spanish masters such as Velázquez and, if I said that right, and Goya. I've got to work on that, as well as El Greco, the Greek artist who lived in Toledo for much of his life. How about that? And if you'd like to see more of El Greco's work, an artist known as the Greek. It's like being on a British building site, isn't it? Oh, yeah, you got to speak to the Greek about that. If you'd like to see more of El Greco's work, including religious paintings and his celebrated canvas depicting the city of Toledo itself, be sure to head to the El Greco Museum, Museo del Greco. How about that? Superb. Toledo, then Cordoba, and we had Granada as well in this list of 6 incredible places to visit on the Iberian Peninsula. Thank you to International Living for this. Let's hop across the border now to Portugal and talk about Sintra, which of course it's already been mentioned today, isn't it? Is where the owner of the new Storytellers Hotel in San Martino has his original hotel is in Sintra. And we were talking to somebody else about Sintra, weren't we? Sintra's been on the well, that's where Cátia is, I believe, as well. So Sintra, well placed this morning, located on the Portuguese Riviera coast. The refined city of Sintra boasts dreamy palaces and castles, magnificent gardens, and a dramatic hilly setting. Long a refuge for Portugal's royalty and elite, much of Sintra is included in UNESCO's World Heritage List. With so many worthy sites to visit in Sintra, it can be difficult choosing where to go, particularly if you have only one day to go. Look at those beautiful buildings there in Sintra. The Moorish Cafe, the Moors again, more Moorish influence, offers magnificent views of the Atlantic, especially if Sintra isn't veiled in fog, which can happen sometimes. The 10th century castle's grey stone ramparts crown a hilltop roughly 1,350 feet above sea level. As its name implies, the castle was constructed by the Moors. What, the Moorish castle made by the Moors? However, successive rulers, as well as the Great Earthquake of 1755, altered the look of the fortifications. I'm sure it did. Now, do they mention that incredible spiraling cellar-like building? I don't think they do. They do talk about the Pena Palace, though, the Palacio de Pena. Who doesn't like a Pena Palace first thing in the morning? And was built for King Ferdinand II in the mid-19th century with a flamboyant exterior, perhaps like King Ferdinand himself. That's Sintra. Let's go to Coimbra now on our tour. 6 great places to go on the Iberian Peninsula. Home to Portugal's most esteemed university. The city of Coimbra has a rich history and a youthful vibe. It certainly does. Can be noisy there at night if you're in your Airbnb. Downtown. Long before it became known as Coimbra, the city was settled by the Romans and called Aeminium. Aminium. For a time, Coimbra also served as Portugal's capital. And who was it who said, was it Jerry who said on the Best Place to Live in Portugal webinar, which I must publish to Expats Portugal's YouTube site? He said that nowhere is it written down that Lisbon is actually the capital. It's just something that's happened, I believe. I wonder. Coimbra's star site is a Joaninha library, the Biblioteca Joaninha, which, along with several other university buildings, is a UNESCO. Again, more UNESCO action here in Portugal, a World Heritage Site. Great. When you go up the hill and up to the university, it's fantastic. You get a great view of the Mondego River and the bridges across it. Fantastic city, Coimbra, love it. This magnificent Baroque library was constructed during the 18th century. Its interior features handsome book stacks adorned with golden flourishes and furnished with tables made out of exotic wood. The treasured collection of approximately 60,000 books is slowly being digitized. However, yeah, this is a great thing about that library. They have a resident colony of bats. I don't know how they deal with the bat guano, but they have bats in there to devour any insects that might otherwise destroy the books. There you go. Whilst in Coimbra, it's a joy simply strolling up the steep streets. And we've got a video from, I wonder if I can bring that in to illustrate this for you. I'll need to download that from the platform. And that is if Signal's high security system will let me do it. It's not always easy dealing with Signal, but yes, I think we're good to go here. I've got a little bit of footage of the Coimbra streets for you, thanks to Darren. So I'm downloading that now, and I will play that for you in just a moment before we come to our final highlight of Portugal, according to International Living anyway. So yeah, those Calçada alleyways, and let me see if I can share that with you now, and we'll come back to that last one. Did you see where it was? Could you guess where it was yet? Cordoba. Is that right? Not Cordoba. Cordoba. Thank you very much. Yes, and Antonio F. Remember the accents. Oh, Cordoba works. It works the same way in Spanish. So not Cordoba, but Cordoba. Thank you very much for that, Antonio and Victoria. That little lesson there. And let's bring you that Coimbra video. Thanks, Darren, for this. Really thoughtful of you to capture this. And I know we've got some other footage still in the waiting list from you. Thank you very much indeed. I think Porto is our other bit of footage. Actually, that might work well this morning. I might even do that this morning as well. So just adding a video clip of Coimbra now. This for you, courtesy of Darren. Still processing. And we'll come back to that 6 incredible places to visit on the Iberian Peninsula in just a moment. You're watching Iberian FM and our phone in, which we do at 10 o'clock on Portugal time, 11 o'clock in Spain. And the number to ring for future reference is 913-590-303. Let's go to Coimbra. Oh, you caught me sipping my coffee there out of my Good Morning Portugal mug. That merch will be back online soon. Old Town, narrow old street. Superb, Darren. That's fantastic. And I think we got a bit more footage from you. Let's return to that article. And you're loving the extended show this morning, you say, Deagle. Yes, this is probably one of the longest I've ever done, in fact. And we are experimenting with the Iberian FM phone-in. Do please encourage friends in Spain. And people who we haven't met yet, who may be finding our extension beyond Portugal into Spain useful, please invite them to come and have some fun with us. Porto, then, the last of the selections of international living. It's not a magazine, is it? It's a website. Maybe it is a magazine as well, but it's a resource. I'll have to tell you who. I don't know who they are. I think they're a kind of an expat service, aren't they? International Living. But here they are with their final pick for Portugal. Porto, in Portugal, the northwestern city of Porto is Portugal's second largest city. The coastal metropolis is known for its port wine, the Dom Luís I Bridge, as you can see there in the picture, which has metalwork reminiscent of the Eiffel Tower, the Tour Eiffel, and of course the that lovely tower in Lisbon as well. That was made by a student of Eiffel as well, wasn't it? So yeah, we share that with France, and it's beautifully worn buildings of Porto, some of which are clad in stunning blue and white tiles called azulejos. Not the only place to be adorned in such a way. Azulejos are available in other towns and cities of Portugal. The Ribeira is Porto's most dynamic district. The Ribeira, chock full with eateries, historic churches, and incredible views of the Douro River. It's a joy to explore. The area's riverside promenade is perfectly suited for people watching. Oh, yes. You can see groups of traditional student musicians called tunas performing and chat with vendors selling embroidered linens, souvenir-sized bottles of port, and purses and ties made of cork. Of course you can. Portugal is one of the world's largest cork producers, of course. In Vila Nova de Gaia, across the river from Ribeira, numerous wine lodges offer the chance to taste and buy port wine. There you go. Whatever you choose to eat, you cannot leave the country without trying Portugal's ultimate crowd pleaser. Oh, I've not heard of this. The pastel de nata. What's that then? It's a dainty custard tart made out of puff pastry and sprinkled with cinnamon. Well, some like it, some don't. I quite like mine naked, actually. Without the cinnamon, but I'm not averse to a sprinkle every now and then. So where is the Iberian Peninsula? Let's do that. So let's do this little bit and see if it concurs with the other knowledge and information that we're gathering on this journey here around Iberia. The Iberian Peninsula, southwestern Europe, bordering the Atlantic Ocean to the west, the Bay of Biscay to the north, and the Mediterranean Sea to the south and east. And the peninsula's southernmost point is not far from Africa, with the two continents separated only by a narrow strip of the Mediterranean called the Straits of Gibraltar. The name Iberian Peninsula is most commonly used to refer to Spain and Portugal, as these two countries comprise most of the peninsula's landmass. However, as we know, the peninsula technically includes the tiny country of Andorra. You saw the picture. A sliver of France, just one little sliver, and the British overseas territory of Gibraltar. The Spanish capital, Madrid, as well as the Portuguese capital, Lisbon, feature major international airports, big city amenities, and dynamic cultural offerings. Other large cities on the Iberian Peninsula. Have you been to Barcelona, Valencia, Seville, Zaragoza, and Malaga in Spain, as well as the city of Porto in Portugal? Well, that's a bit mean to Portugal, I think. So there you go. More info there. I shall put that link into the chat. I should tell you more about international living before we go today. And we've also got a bit of video of Porto, which we'll finish with, and a little sunset at the end, thanks to Victoria. So what are we looking at here on international living? As I understand it, it's an expat resource. I wonder about us. Here we go. Least I can do. Hold on. FAQs. Yeah, okay. That's where we'll find the about us info, isn't it? Can I advertise? Media Centre, meet the team. It doesn't immediately say what international living is, but they've got a 30-second annual global retirement index that you can download from their website. So there you go. Get your free report on the world's top retirement havens. That gives you an idea. Oh, they've got their own VIP section as well. And they do have a magazine. So they've got an international magazine. Second passport section, real estate, countries to go to. Look at that. And topics, conferences, and a bookstore. There you go. That's International Living. Portugal Living. That is the magazine, Portugal Living. We'll talk to Bruce soon. Thank you very much for that, International Living. And thank you, Darren, to this. We'll close with this today. Thank you so much for your wonderful video of Coimbra, the streets and the station. Let's have a bit of a look at Porto that was mentioned in that article. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll finish with this, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning with some Philomena Friday feel-good action. Ciao for now. Oh, and tonight, of course, we're talking about the D7 on the Expats Portugal webinar, and thereafter, the Dream Team will be in the building. It's always a lot of fun with Pets Corner, or well, not expats, but what was it? What was the domain that Jerry bought? Anyway, there is a pooch and pussy selection halfway through the Dream Team on a Thursday evening at 9, and it's a great upbeat, friendly, and highly informative session where you can find out more about moving to Portugal from the professionals, the horses' mouths. You can find out directly from them exactly how to go about moving to Portugal and get that expert advice. See you then, perhaps. Bye for now. Ciao.